So we're kicking off this session with myself giving a bit of a quick overview. So without further introduction, here I am. An overview of our achievements over the last 12 months and beyond. Just a quick high level sort of recap and reflection upon how far we've come and where we're up to. In talking about that, there's a lot of specific project, program, people achievements, and I'll leave that more to the discussions at the program level. So just some of the high level overview aspects of where we're up to as a CRC. So as the message has been coming through, we've now completed 6 years of our 10-year funding period. We're into year 7. Over those 6 years, we've come from nothing essentially, a whole lot of promises and a couple of staff members, and we've built up into a whole program of investment that's now starting to roll over, and we're looking at phase 2, stage 2 projects, and very much looking at where are we going to over the next 4 years and how do we bring it all together. I'm going to say a bit more about that at the end of the day when I look to the future, but looking to where we've got to so far. So here's a few things. I'll summarise first. This time last year at the Adelaide conference, you might recall I introduced to you Caroline Welsh and Lee Sullivan. We engaged an external independent consultant to undertake a review of the Soil CRC, and they spoke with 50 stakeholders, sort of a diagonal cross-section of our organisation, from Deputy Vice-Chancellors, CEOs, research scientists, farmer group members, students, staff, board members, and some of our important external stakeholders too. And they came back with a largely very positive review that said, a lot of the feedback is that this Soil CRC is going along very nicely, as good as any CRC that many of us have seen. But here's a few things you need to focus on more, and here's a few things you need to do more of, especially into the last 4 years of a CRC. So we made that review public back in before Christmas, and also the board's findings, board's responses to those findings and recommendations, and a lot of which has been helped to inform our strategic planning process. And at yesterday's meeting of the board, they signed off on the refreshed, revised strategic plan that takes us through the last 4 years of a CRC. And again, I'll say a few more words about that later. But largely meeting the needs of all our participants. A key part of it also is the Commonwealth, and we've, you hear me and the program leaders and Jody and others go on incessantly about Commonwealth milestones and quarterly reports and all that, and it is very much about meeting the needs, the reporting needs of Canberra, but in turn, and us being able to successfully do that to their satisfaction, it does make life a lot easier for all of us. The CRC Program Office, the Department of Industry, Science and Resources, continues to express their large degree of satisfaction of how the CRC is travelling in terms of meeting its agreed commitments under the Commonwealth Funding Agreement. And in turn, they give us a big cheque every 3 months into our bank account, which then informs our investment in projects, etc. On that point, here we are 6 years into the CRC. At the commencement, we're allocated $39.5 million of investment from the CRC program. That was matched by close to $20 million in cash from our participants, big and small, and roughly $108 million of in-kind contributions to be delivered over that 10-year period as well. So you'll be aware that as we've developed projects, we're very keen to identify the in-kind contributions being made by our partners to 2 projects, which in sum help us to meet those expectations of the Commonwealth. And mark my words, they do have expectations, they do track that closely, and they are wanting to get, on behalf of the taxpayer, which we all are, wanting to get their value for money and bang for the buck, etc. So 6 years on, in the early days of the CRC, we were a bit behind in our in-kind contributions to the CRC. Obviously, it wasn't so much activity, but as that's built up into sort of peak projects, we're now slightly ahead of the run rate. which is great, and we need to be there because it'll tail off in the last few years as well as we start to wind down. But that's why that's important to measure and monitor that, and we're doing the right thing there. Along the way, we've managed to attract additional funding into the CRC, both big and small, some major contracts from the GAC, from the Commonwealth, and smaller contributions for a range of participants, partners, third-party partners on projects. Cumulatively, it's around $4 or $5 million so far, which also it goes a long way to helping to make our dollar go further, add value, as well as add interest and collaboration, which has been a great thing as well. Couple more things about it in a minute. A key part of it, our program, I keep talking about, is our PhD program, and we have a target of having 46 students 46 commencements, and we met that target last year. We now have 50 students who've commenced in the CRC, and so that's a great thing. There's still a few more open positions, so in theory there's another 4 or 5 still to come, which we need to make happen. Need to make happen soon so that they get finished in time by the CRC finishes in just under 4 years' time. Our other target is 40 completions. Now, of those 50 commencements, we've already had a number of withdrawals for various reasons along the way, so that's part of that attrition that you do see. Not just because you start a PhD doesn't mean you're going to finish and be awarded a PhD. That's a natural part of it. The PhD students that we have here in the room today, I have full confidence that all of them will go all the way and help us achieve that target of 40 completions in total. We've got 4 completions so far, so there's more coming along, and you'll hear a bit from today from some of those who look to complete and submit in the next 12 months. On the national and international stage, I think it's fair to say we're achieving a great deal of awareness and recognition, and both formally and informally, I get feedback about how well the Soil CRC is doing. I'm not now looking to blow the trumpet here, but looking to say that to reflect upon everyone's effort here collectively and cumulatively in contributing to that. And it makes me very proud in seeing it. And a couple of highlights for me over the past 12 months have been the World Congress of Soil Science in Glasgow this time last year. We had a number of speakers here in the room and others associated with Soil CRC work that were presenting on that international stage. The Evoke Ag Conference that AgriFutures runs this year was in Adelaide, where it features a whole lot of activity around ag tech and innovation, and along with 3 other CRCs, we had a stall there and attracted quite a lot of interest, and Rich Doyle and myself were there, and we were talking about some of the technology and other things the CRC was doing, and a few great contacts and recognition sprung out of that. The Soil Science Australia Conference in Darwin this year, back in end of June. You go back pre-COVID, there was a Soil Science Australia Conference, and I got up and spoke largely about who the Soil CRC was and what we're going to do, which is always easy to talk about, isn't it? Then 3 years after COVID, we had a conference in Cairns. We had a session where each of the 4 program leaders talked about what we are doing, and there was a lot of interest in that. This year at the conference in Darwin, yes, I was invited to give an overview, and I gave sort of 1 slide per project on a whole range of projects and where we were. But we had 18 presenters on the program representing different parts of Soil CRC activity, both researchers and PhD students, and another 10 posters across the program. So it was a really great representation of a Soil CRC's activity. So with stuff that we've done, so it was fantastic. A couple of more achievements. We delivered on a project for Meat and Livestock Australia, helping to identify opportunities and for soils-related R&D. Some of you work with MLA know that they haven't been big investors in soils in the last few years in soils R&D. So, in highlighting that 58% of Australia's land mass is managed by meat and livestock producers, and they have a responsibility for managing those soils, which are nationally poor and deteriorating. I think that's attracted their interest. Hopefully we'll see a bit more interest coming out of MLA in the future. Then there's a key announcement just 2 weeks ago by the Prime Minister and then the Agriculture Minister that we were successful in attracting funding from the Future Drought Fund for long-term experiments, $3.94 million, which was fantastic. Essentially 10% of what we got in the first tranche of funding from the Commonwealth. That brings together 6 of our grower groups, 5 of our research university partners. Largely builds upon some existing work in Program 3, Program 4, existing trials that we've funded. It will take them longer in time, beyond the life of the CRC for another year or two, and add value to them in terms of integration, the modelling, the extension, the adoption, outreach associated with them. So allows us a bit more freedom to do a whole range of things associated with that. So that'll kick off in coming months, and but yeah, run alongside our current work. So that's a quick snapshot, quick overview of a few of the things that Soil CRC's been doing at a macro level. You'll read more about it in the year in review and the annual report that gets released in the next couple of months. And so that's where I'll end my presentation.